Hi everyone, welcome to my presentation for the unit FOHS 700, Research Frontiers in Human Sciences. Throughout this presentation, I'll be identifying the seminars that I have attended throughout the semester, evaluating what I have learned from each seminar, and explaining how each has contributed to my developing understanding of my particular research issue. In order to achieve this presentation will be delivered in 5 parts. In the first part, I will briefly explain the research issue underpinning my rationale for my chosen seminars. In the second part, I will make explicit this rationale. In the third part, I will identify and briefly describe the seminars that I have attended throughout the semester. In the fourth part, I will be explaining a few of these seminars in more detail, particularly 3 of the seminars that ended up being the most relevant to my research issue. For each of these 3 seminars, I will critically evaluate what I have learned, and discuss how each has informed a developing understanding of my research issue. Lastly, the 5th and final part is intended to wrap up the presentation. Let us begin with part 1, briefly describing my research issue. Firstly, I want you to imagine your favorite doll or action figure that you had when you were a child. What did you like about it? Why was it your favorite? After asking these questions to others in the past, I noticed that no one thought of a toy representing a person experiencing disability. No one thought of a doll that uses a wheelchair or an action figure that is blind. My research revolves around the supposed lack of available toys that positively represent people experiencing disability. The lack of such toys is hypothesized to be problematic, hindering societal acceptance and inclusion of people experiencing disability, thus supporting ableism, that is, discrimination against people experiencing disability. If children do not see themselves reflected in the toys that they engage with, how will this impact on their sense of self? These are the research issues that underpin my choice of seminars to attend. This leads us to part 2, the rationale for attending my chosen seminars. My choice of seminars revolved around fulfilling 2 of my learning goals. The first was to explore the emerging trends in critical disability studies research, and the second was to examine various methodologies used to research children who do and do not experience disability and/or new media. Seminars therefore had to be related to one or more of the following topics. 1. Theoretical frameworks underpinning current research on disability. 2. Research involving children and play. 3. Research involving individuals experiencing disability and inclusion. And 4. Research involving new media. From this rationale, I was able to identify and attend a total of 7 seminars, which I will discuss now as we move on to part 3, identifying and briefly describing the seminars that I have attended throughout the semester. In order to explore the emerging trends in critical disability studies research, I attended 2 seminars. The first was titled The Capability Approach in Disability, Constraints on Disabled People's Participation by Tanya Burchart. This explained the social model of disability in contrast to the individual or medical model of disability, which I will elaborate on further. It also reported on the first large study conducted in the UK using a social model design to research people experiencing disability. The second seminar was titled Eugenic World Building and Disability by Rosemary Garland Thompson, and argued the issues of eliminating disability and striving for normalization through practices such as genetic manipulation, selective abortion, and medical normalization. Through attending these 2 seminars, I was able to explore the theoretical frameworks underpinning current research on disability, relevant for my own prospective research. In order to examine the methodologies used to research children who do and do not experience disability and/or new media, I attended a total of 5 seminars. The first was titled A Fantasy Childhood, The Effect of Disney Princesses and Superheroes on Preschool Children by Sarah Coyne. This reported on a study on the effects of new media on gender stereotypes, body esteem, and pro-social behavior in early childhood. The second seminar was titled Commenting to Learn, Evidence of Language and Intercultural Learning in YouTube Comments by Phil Benson, and reported on a study that collected data via YouTube comments. Though this was not directly related to my research area, it gave me ideas on how to go about conducting research involving new media. The third seminar was titled Qualitative and Quantitative Research Methods by Susan Groundwater Smith. This looked at participatory research with children and young people, emphasizing on the rights of children to participate in the research they are involved in, the ethics that one should consider when undertaking research involving children, and methods that can be used in such research to ensure that children's voices are heard. The final two were part of a conference on play. These were titled Young Children's Perspectives on Their Learning Through Play by Yeshi, and Outdoor Play in Special Schools, Social Interactions and Contextual Influences by Shirley Wyver. Both of these reported on studies exploring the play of children who do and do not experience disability. As a result of attending these seminars, I was able to explore the methodologies used to research children who do and do not experience disability and/or new media, which will be beneficial in determining the methodology that I will utilize in my own research. We will now move on to part 4, where I will discuss some of these seminars in more detail, particularly 3 of the seminars that ended up being the most relevant to my particular research issue. For each of these 3 seminars, I will critically evaluate what I have learnt and discuss how each has informed a developing understanding of my research issue. The first one that I will discuss in detail is titled Eugenic Worldbuilding and Disability by Rosemary Garland Thompson. This seminar explored the problem of eugenic worldbuilding, that is, eliminating disability and striving for normalization through practices such as genetic manipulation, selective abortion, and medical normalization, practices which ensure that people who do not fall into a normate ideal is eliminated. Rosemary Garland Thompson argues that nobody fits this normate category, and thus everyone is in fact disabled in some sense. The social model underpins the arguments that she makes, thus becoming the focus of the seminar. The social model of disability regards disability as a socially constructed problem, not a problem within an individual. The negative impacts of disability are viewed as inflicted by negative public attitudes rather than stemming from the impairment or difference of an individual. According to Rosemary, misconceptions of the normate are the causes of stigma, as we view people experiencing disability as other when in actuality no one really qualifies for this idea of normal. Though Rosemary did not report on a particular research study in this seminar, it was helpful in developing the theoretical framework for my own research, as I learned more about the particularities of the social model of disability, which is a major theoretical framework utilized in current disability studies research, and further built on this theory, diverging into theories of resistance, that is, resisting negative societal attitudes towards disability, and affirmation, which argues that society should conserve and sustain human variations, protecting human diversity rather than curing or eliminating it. It was therefore argued that people experiencing disability should not only be tolerated in society, but also accepted as a form of human variation and thus accommodated for. The aims of my own research project are justified through this understanding. The next seminar that I'll be talking about in more detail is titled A Fantasy Childhood: The Effect of Disney Princesses and Superheroes on Preschool Children. This seminar reported on a study exploring the effects of exposure of Disney princess and superhero-related media, including toys, shows, and movies, on gender stereotyping, body esteem, and pro-social behavior in early childhood. Results showcase that 40% of the girls involved in the study played with Disney princess toys multiple times a week, with only 17 reported to never or rarely play with such toys. When asked who their favorite Disney princess was and why, most children based their answer on image. For example, that the princess is super pretty. Only a small amount of children communicated that they favored specific princesses based on their interpersonal characteristics. Princess engagement related to higher female gender stereotyping over time. Engagement in such media related to higher body esteem and pro-social behavior over time. However, information of the participants were not mentioned. Therefore, there was no indication on whether or not the participants experienced disability, and if so, whether it would yield the same results. In comparison, engaging in superhero media was related to greater adherence to male gender stereotypes in play over time, and high levels of physical and relational aggression. Overall, this seminar made apparent the major role that new media played in young children's lives, impacting upon their understanding of themselves and of others, and in creating or reinforcing specific stereotypes and ideals. This has therefore assisted in justifying the importance of my research issue, that is, the importance of disability toys in promoting acceptance or inclusion. It also showcased the effectiveness of the methods utilized in the reported study. The process of interviewing the children not only empowered children and gave them a voice, but also improved the rigor of the findings. It has therefore encouraged me to consider implementing similar methods in my own research. This leads me to the final seminar that I will be discussing in detail, namely Qualitative and Quantitative Research Methods by Susan Groundwater Smith. Through case studies and discussions on the researcher's own experiences, this seminar emphasized on the importance of empowering children and considering the rights of the child when undertaking participatory research involving children. It suggested particular methods for data collection that researchers could use to ensure that children are given a voice throughout the research process, such as incorporating children's drawings and allowing children to take photographs and construct stories. It also explained the ethical issues involved in research with children that I should acknowledge before undertaking my own research, and the importance of transcending bureaucratic compliance, including issues such as obtaining informed consent, the perils of deceit, and the benefits versus the costs of the research for the participants. Attending this seminar encouraged me to consider the design of my research project, ensuring that the methods I will use and how I approach the ethical issues that I may face throughout my own research empowers and upholds the rights of the children that will be participating. We have now arrived to the fifth and final part, wrapping up the presentation. Throughout this presentation, I have identified the seminars that I have attended throughout the semester and evaluated what I have learned from each seminar. It is clear that each seminar I have attended has contributed to the developing understanding of my particular research issue in some way, either in relation to the emerging trends in critical disability studies research and/or the various methodologies used to research children who do and do not experience disability and new media. If you have any questions regarding any aspect of my presentation, please feel free to post them on the discussion board.